Here is my new DWT 12-inch sliding bevel miter saw, and the performance of this is outstanding. I think this is going to be an absolute great addition to the shop to replace my old miter saw that is literally decades old. I'm looking forward to have this installed in my shop. Hey everyone, welcome back to Papa's Workshop. It's not very often that I get totally surprised about a new tool, but I was completely shocked and highly impressed with this new miter saw that I'm going to be putting into my shop as an upgrade for my old one. My old miter saw, quite frankly, is just about as old as time, and it's time for an upgrade. The saw that I chose to go with is a DWT 12-inch sliding miter saw. And I tell you what, it has absolutely blown me away at the features and the benefits that this saw offers. At the time of the video, this is $228 Black Friday special. Now this old miter saw that I have is, quite frankly, ancient. This old miter saw is a ProTech 10-inch model 7201, and it has been a very reliable saw in my shop for many, many years, and it's lived in this location now for close to 20 years. But it's time to be able to upgrade this. In the past, this saw has gone out on the job sites, and it was a portable saw that you could take just about anywhere. But there's no tilt on it. You are very limited as far as the cut size because it is the 10-inch. And the only setting that you can really do is lock this down with this lever right back here. And that was the safety mechanism to keep the blade locked down. The guard, quite frankly, I have no idea where the guard is, if it ever had a guard. Don't even remember. It looks like they had some brackets here, some screws where there was a potential guard that was on the saw at one time, but that was, quite frankly, before I even got this saw, because this saw came to me used from my father, and that was many, many years ago. The handle that should be on here is long since gone, and it's just time for an upgrade. Which also means that this whole entire workbench area is going to have to get redone. This saw also was very, very loud. You definitely needed to have earmuffs with this anytime you operated this saw. Enough about this old saw, let's talk about the new saw. To change the blade on this saw, you have a locking mechanism right here that pushes down and locks the blade and prevents it from turning. And make sure that the saw is unplugged anytime you want to change this blade. So I'm going to hold down the button on this other side, and it's important to note that this is a left-hand thread, and I've already loosened this up, but this is a left-hand thread, so to unscrew it, you have to turn it to the right. I could never do this again in 100 years, having this washer roll down my arm and gently land on the workbench. A 1 in a million shot. The blade that comes with this saw by DWT is a 12-inch 40-tooth carbon tip blade. Now this does have a 1-inch hole to fit onto the arbor. Now this is something, quite frankly, I don't like. Most of the saw blades that I have, if not all of them, have a 5/8 of an inch diameter hole. So this is going to present a problem because the blades that I have are not going to be interchangeable with this saw versus the other saws that I have. So please keep that in mind. So this does have that 1 inch. Now as far as the RPM, this is designed to go at 7,000 RPM maximum. All right, let's put this blade back on. We'll put this washer on, and it is a slotted washer, so you need to be able to line that up. And then we'll put the bolt back in it. And again, so we're going to tighten this. We'll turn it to the left. And we'll push down the locking mechanism so that this blade will not turn. And we'll continue to tighten that. And that will take care of changing this blade and locking that in place. Now, one of the other features this has, this fence does slide open, and you can just extend that out, and that's going to provide more stability for the material that you're cutting, and that happens on both sides. On the back of the saw, you have several different little thumb screws to be able to lock in the different items. This particular one is to hold the fence in. So you can slide this out and then tighten it back. And that keeps the fence in place. This knob, if you loosen it, allows you to extend the fence. And you also have this attachment that you can drop into here and secure it in place. Tighten it back down. And then you can loosen this screw and lower it down to where it needs to be. Tighten it, and then you can secure the material down with this clamp right here to the work surface. This can freely rotate to any location that you need, and this can be mounted to either side of the saw. So if I want to mount this to the other side, it can drop in here and go into the same place to be able to secure the material. And of course, this fence will slide also, just like the other one, and then lock down in whatever position that you want it. This handle, turn it to the left to be able to loosen it so that you can grab this lever and rotate. And it does have preset positions where it will lock in at the 0. Hold down the button, you can slide it over. It locks again at the 15 degrees and 22.5, and then at the 30, and of course the 45. So those are all preset positions. And the same thing will apply going in the other direction. We'll go over here to the 15, 22.5, and there's the 30. And of course, we'll go over to the 45 degrees. The one thing that this does not have is a preset positions to cut the crown molding if you lay the crown molding flat. When you get it to the position that you want it, you just simply tighten this knob by turning it to the right, and it's not going to move. You do have the holes here on the front and on the back so that you can mount it to your work surface, and that's one of the things that I'm going to be doing. Now there's a lot of features right here in this area, but one of the things that you can do with this allows the arm to move back and forth freely, but you can also lock it in place, and now it will not move. So oftentimes you will lock it in this position, pull the blade down so it's safe, and then you have this pin right here that pushes, that locks it in place so that the saw does not go into the upright position. And then we'll unscrew this, and that will allow it to move freely. This set screw right here actually will come in contact with this surface, and that you can control the depth of your saw blade. So right now it's going down probably about a 1/2 inch. If you wanted to be able to reduce that, you could reduce that by just changing this set screw. You also have this screw that allows you to be able to adjust the depth, and you can do that on a temporary basis to be able to, let's say you wanted to just cut a dado and you did not want to cut all the way through the material. you can use this to set the depth. So if, for an example, I only wanted to cut the material away down to this line, I could set this up, bring the saw blade down to where you wanted it, adjust this screw. Now it touches this plate, I have my depth, and now I can actually cut this to that depth and it's not going to go any deeper. So that is a definite advantage for this saw. On the back of the saw, you have this lever that you can loosen and then tilt this saw over to any degree between the 0 and the 45 degrees. In addition to that, you have this knob right here that allows you to go the other direction. So I can pull this lever out and then I can tilt the saw in the opposite direction, again from 0 to 45 degrees. You have a scale right here that you can see to be able to adjust this to any degrees that you want. Again, this will go all the way over to the 45 degrees and then back to 0. And it will, again, camera's in the way, but it'll go all the way to the 45 degrees to the right. You can also adjust this with this screw right here on both sides to be able to adjust any inaccuracies that you have to make sure that you get a full 45 degrees, and that will create your fixed stop at that 45 degree point. Now this saw has the laser that's built in here. Some of the saws that I've seen before, they have the laser where it's actually mounted in place of that washer on the saw blade is mounted there. But I like having it here. Now with this laser on, you can actually get the full range of motion all the way out to the very end with the laser. So you can get a very accurate measurement to see exactly where you need to be able to cut with this saw. On the handle up top, this is the button that turns the laser on and off. It's just a push button switch. And the switch right here is what will turn on the saw. Right now it is locked, so you cannot start it, but you have this little lever right here. So when you depress this lever, now you can turn the saw on. So that's a very nice safety feature, and you can easily work this with your left hand or your right hand. On the motor itself, this is a 2000 watt, 15 amp, or 120 volts, 60 hertz. And this location right here, and there's another one on the opposite side, are where the brushes are located. Now, one of the things that this company provides is actually 2 sets of replacement brushes that you can have for this machine. And that is a huge, huge plus. And one more thing on the back of the saw, this is the port right here where you can connect that little bag, or in my case, we're going to connect the vacuum cleaner hose that'll attach right here. And I have a hose that this will just slip into, and that works perfect. From here, I'll attach this to my vacuum, and we'll be ready to test this saw out. The first thing that I noticed when I turn on this saw, it is much, much quieter than my old miter saw that I've been using in the shop for years. In fact, this saw is quieter than the vacuum cleaner that's running in the background. The performance of this laser, we can test this out. I'm going to mark this line right on the laser line, and then I'll bring the saw blade down and just barely touch the wood, and we'll see where that touches. Right now, the laser is actually in the dead center of my saw blade. The good thing about it is we can adjust the laser left and right to be able to have this on either side of the blade. And of course, you can choose which side of the blade that you want the laser to be directed to, depending on how you use your saw in the shop. Hopefully you can see how I can move this laser left and right to be able to make that fine adjustment. I'm going to make the adjustment that I want, and then I'll just simply tighten these screws back, and then we'll check it one more time to see the accuracy on the laser to that saw blade. So this is the first test, after making that adjustment. I'm going to do the same thing and mark the pencil line right on the laser, and I'll make that cut. And you can see that it's just slightly off. So I adjusted it one more time, and now you can see where the laser is exactly where I want it on the left side of that blade. So that's going to give me very accurate cuts. Now I tested this saw with a number of different materials, cutting thick and thin wood, and no, I'm not showing everything here because I think it'd get just a little bit boring. But I do want to show you the accuracy. After making this cut, you can put the square up here and you can see that that is dead on accurate. That is beautiful. So I like the quality of this machine, I like the accuracy of this machine, and it does some amazing job. The features and benefits of this saw far, far outweigh anything close to what I had before in the shop with that very, very old miter saw. To show you a quick demonstration cutting a piece of door trim with the 45-degree angles, we can do that, and we'll check the accuracy of the 45-degree pre-position point that will lock into the base. So the first cut is made. We're going to take a close-up look at that, and that looks very, very clean cut. As far as the accuracy, we'll put again the speed square up there, check it out, and that's exactly the 45 degrees. So that looks amazing. I can hardly wait to get this machine permanently mounted so it won't slide on the workbench. But at any rate, I want to cut the second piece now, and I want to be able to join the two pieces of wood together to be able to check to see if it actually truly forms a 90-degree angle. So let's make the second cut now, and then we'll put these two pieces together. If you look real close, you can see the laser that's pointing right at the corner. So that allows me to be able to get the perfect alignment to make this 45-degree cut. If I put these two pieces together, you can see the joint itself looks excellent. But does this truly form a 90-degree angle? Well, let's grab the speed square again and check it out. So if I put the speed square right up there along that edge, you can see, yes, it is 90 degrees. I want to take a quick look at the dust collection and see how that's doing. Now this dust separator did collect an awful lot of the sawdust from this new saw. Let's see if there's any dust in the vacuum cleaner itself. Now, as I said, I've been cutting quite a bit with this saw, and this does work well. Now this is a smaller hose than you typically have on this dust separator. You can see the quick setup that I have. One hose is the 2.5 inch, and then the smaller hose goes to the saw itself. Let's take a look at the vacuum cleaner. And the vacuum cleaner itself, the filter still looks absolutely brand new. And inside of here, there's still no sawdust at all. But that's only half the story. Even though I was able to collect a lot of the sawdust, there is still a ton of sawdust that is literally scattered all over the saw, all over the workbench. So the sawdust is still being thrown everywhere, but that's kind of typical of a miter saw. It just does not do a good job of capturing the sawdust with your dust collection systems. Well, this saw I think is going to be a fantastic addition. There's only a couple of things that I didn't like, but a whole lot of things that I do like. So this is going to be a great addition. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that the tools that I have in my shop is a wide range of different manufacturers. What I look for in a particular tool is the quality of the tool. And it also depends on how much I use it. Now this new miter saw by DWT is going to get an awful lot of use in the shop, and I think it's going to be a very fantastic addition to be able to have here. Now if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up and subscribe right down there with that little button, and don't forget to hit the bell notification next to it. That really does help. And please, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about the miter saw, the different manufacturers, what you have in your shop, because all of that really helps. I would love to be able to engage with you and be able to communicate with you guys. So I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next project that I'm doing, whatever that happens to be. But for now, bye-bye, and I'll see you real soon in the next video.